Yay, we are live again, another beautiful day, and we are going to be having a very beautiful time together with our guest today, all the way from Germany, Kai Zimmerman. Kai Zimmerman is going to be sharing with us about sustainable development in the healthcare station for developing countries. And what a time to talk about this because, all of us are talking about coronavirus, and more of coronavirus. Anything you give too much voice to begins to magnify so much. My heart goes out to all the people that have lost their loved ones and all the frontline workers. We thank you. We appreciate the great work that you are doing. Having said that, this season is going to come and it's going to pass. When the season comes and the season passes, what next? There's so much issues on ground that we need to address so that we are prepared for when this whole thing comes to pass. And I hope you guys will join us today. Share the video, invite your friends to be able to listen to this wonderful information that Mr. Zimmerman, all the way from Germany, will be sharing with us. These are crucial times and they're desperate times. We need to use desperate measures to be able to tackle some of the unforeseen problems that are coming in the future. So without me talking more, let me introduce our guest for today. Welcome to the show, Mr. Kai.
Hello. Hello, Gwyn.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. And you?
I'm doing very well. It's fantastic to see you after 3 years.
Yeah, I want to first of all say thank you to you and your team for the amazing Vigo award what you have given me 2018, I believe, in a sustainable development, and for the amazing gala what you had done in the Vigo award evening.
You are very welcome. It was well deserved because you do a lot of work, and somebody nominated you across the board, and we chose to look into the work that you're doing for developing countries, and that's why we awarded you. And thank you for the work that you're doing. So please introduce yourself to us a little bit more so that the guests that don't know you will get to know who you are, what you do, and where you are streaming from.
Yeah, I'm streaming from Adersbach. It's a small village in southwest of Germany, and yeah, I'm working in sustainable development, renewable energies, almost past 15 years. Starting by my vocational training as a bank specialist and a technical specialist, what is a good combination for projects. I established my first PV system in the year 2006 by roof of my parents, and after working some years in a agenda group of renewable energies, I had the idea to create a green citizen energy cooperative in our village. Since 2008, we working on that cooperative to create sustainable development, clean energy, as well as an economical benefit of the members. And so I go step by step forward. 2011, I created Energy Plus building, so we produce more energy in our home as we need. Sometimes I say guests who visit my building that we earn money instead of spending money for wood, oil, or coal to heat it. And 2014, I had an idea to create a climate foundation for citizens. I set up the idea, established it, and I was a funding chairman the first 2 years. 2016, I reached the barrier to be climate neutral with my family, and from international requests, then I come up with the idea to create a Senaga Foundation. I had done also some courses of foundation manager and customer social responsibility manager to understand more the business and economical side of the international societies. And yeah, from 2017 on, I run Senaga Foundation.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much for that brief introduction of yourself. What do you have for us today as our guests are waiting to hear from you in regards to sustainable development in the healthcare stations in developing countries?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, and there are some opportunities to brought in the current story, because most countries spend a lot of funding for electrification, lighting, hospitals and healthcare stations in developing countries. And if you go a new kind of way, if you support the healthcare stations and hospital with renewable energies, with good technologies, you can save money and can spend that money in medicine and in medicine equipment.
You mean medical equipment?
Yeah, if you spend a lot of money in, let me say, in rural areas, some hospitals are run by a diesel generator. Refrigerators for hospitals are run by gas, and you have to buy the resources every time. You have to buy diesel, you have to buy gas, and by our days now with renewable energy, with LED lighting, you can reduce the cost of producing electricity. And when you reduce the costs of producing electricity, you can spend that money for medicine, for disinfection, and for other things, to have a better support of the health sector, especially in rural areas in developing countries.
How long have you been doing this?
Tenaga Foundation started in 2017. Because 2015-16, after the United Nations Climate Conference in Paris, where the parties, the countries of the world said we have to protect the climate, a lot of international delegations reached up in Germany, or tried to get in contact to me to get an idea about we do sustainable development or renewable energies in Germany, because in Germany we have special type of cooperatives, we have special type of city companies, and so we have to offer two things. First of all, the German quality of work and German quality of technologies. And the second part is how you can organize projects and how you can organize running of projects by especially participation of local companies or local citizens. And that after that request, yeah, some delegations, as I told, showed up. Especially one delegation from Senegal came. They spent 2 days in Adersbach and around. I showed them some projects. I showed them some organization options, and they are so happy that they told me, "Oh, in 4 or 5 weeks we have a conference in Dakar called Saris Cafe," and they invited me as a panelist to the conference. I accepted the invitation, and I flew to Dakar. And from that step on, of course, we had some contacts with the government, with ministers, but also what I say, it's very important, with different actors of the society, like press, like association leaders, women organizations, and stuff like that, to get a good picture from the needs on the ground. Yeah, you just get it when you speak with different persons, and you get a good overview.
Okay. So, what is the presentation? What is the information you have for us today so that, people that don't know what is sustainable development in the healthcare sector, how do you go about it if I want it in my country? What do you guys do? So, just walk us through it.
Yeah, sustainable development is to say you can just spend the resources what you have or what the earth have. We cannot use in 1 year oil what it's grown up over the last hundred thousands or millions of years. So if we use coal, if we use oil, we destroy our climate, we destroy our environmental, and especially in rural areas. So you have to consider that. Let me say example. You know that I work with some countries in Africa, Senegal, Nigeria, hopefully more with Uganda in the future, Cote d'Ivoire, and all over developing countries worldwide. You have a sun, or you have wind, or you have biomass, so you can produce electricity or light on a clean and sustainable way. And if you look, as I told you, to a diesel generator, you have to buy fuel, and you have a lot of moving parts in the generator, so you need maintenance, and all that is costs money. And when you replace it with let me say a PV system where you can produce electricity by sun,
Mhm.
then you save the money for the fuel and for the maintenance. But of course, you have to develop the project very good, because you have to need how many energy a healthcare station or hospital need, how many they need 24 hours, 7 days a week. And I saw also projects where the planning period wasn't good. At the end of the day, the result was that they had not light in the night. And you can imagine, when you have an emergency case and you have no light in the night, what problems the doctor will have to do his work. So Tenaga is also unique in different parts. One part of our unique is that we speak with people, with the governments or companies in the countries. We look for the needs, and then one of our major line is to make a dialogue and transfer from knowledge and technology. So, in the non-profit sector, there are some big organizations. They make a program for wheels, for example, and then they do wheels all over the world. And sometimes it doesn't need the, or it doesn't meet the needs on the ground. Yeah, and we work on the opposite way. So we look from the view of the people in the areas, in the countries, have a dialogue, have a discussion, and after that, you are able to set up a sustainable project. It's also sustainability that the projects run a long time, and therefore you have to engage as well the doctors in the hospitals, the mayors of the villages, to set up a real good project or system.
Okay. So let's say, for example, we'll go practical now. For example, I am from a rural area and I stumble into your video that says you help developing countries, and I want your project to come to my area. How do you go about it? Who sponsors it? Who pays for it?
Yes, that's the most important question, of course. It's very difficult to get people understanding of climate protection and renewable energy, because electric power you cannot see. Yeah, you can see rain, you can see sun, but you cannot see the benefit of renewable energies or sustainable development. So, as I mentioned, the delegation from Senegal, they come to Germany, spend some days. I invited them to my home. They had a dinner in my kitchen, a talk, a communication, and that's first and most difficult step every time. Yeah, that a government or a governor or mayors or other people in charge from the areas have the mind to first spend some funding for the knowledge period, what I call. When you had this step and you have an understanding of how projects could work, the best ways then when mostly government parts invite me to a trip to their country to have that dialogue, what I mentioned to you, to mayors, to associations, to ministers and stuff like that. And on the third part, there are some different ways to finance activities. Mostly for a foundation, that is an opportunity to get donations. And in Senaga Foundation, we can get by our internet page international donations. We can get in Germany text-supported donations, and we have also a landing page to trust in USA, so we can also get text-supported donations from USA. The second part is that we make sponsoring from companies. We have some seals. We can offer some customer social responsibility coachings. Explaining customer social responsibilities, how companies have contact to their customers, to their employees, how they can make their products interesting, or how they can make it interesting to get new and better employees. And so we can help them on that way. We can promote some products or some activities from that companies. And the third part is that we offer some parts, let me say, like speeches on meetings, or like CO2 offset when you want to be climate neutral as well, so we can offer that. So a long speech, say short, we are open for a lot of opportunities to get funding, because every day I get requests to do some projects in the world, and my heart is open for it to do it, of course. But every time I say these contacts that we have knowledge and experience, but no funding. So for every project, we have to ask private persons, companies, or governments to give their support. For example, like in the Corona crisis, our friends in Uganda from Swogen, it's a woman organization. They called us a few weeks ago. They have a children home, and normally they get funding for it to buy food, to buy disinfection things and stuff like that from the churches in the area. But also developing countries had a shutdown, so they didn't get their support for 4 weeks. And I published that request in LinkedIn, in Facebook, in our network, and so we got a couple of €100 to send it to Uganda to enable them to buy food, because when you look in Canada to Corona crisis, when we look in Europe to Corona crisis, we are looking from developed countries, good infrastructure. You can buy food in shops. You are supported by different programs. But in developing countries, a shutdown is much more difficult, because you have a lot of day workers. They have no income at the moment. You have mostly no good public transport. So you cannot easily go to the next corner and buy some food in or disinfectations in the next shop. And so that is also what is very important, to change the mind between developing and developed countries. And there's another example of our unique point in Senaga Foundation. The last 3 years, we also participated in the United Nations climate conferences as a participants invited by the NGO Water Safety Initiative Foundation from Akwa Ibom in Nigeria, and Mr. Robinson, the chairman and director there. And in Madrid in last December, parties, the states or countries from the world discussed how developing and developed countries can work together. And we in Senaga Foundation do it already some years. So we was very often required to bring our input to discussions. We had a side event there, we had a booth area there. So we share our knowledge and experience to everybody who have a open mind for change. As I told, when you come from an oil system or from an old farming system, you have to have some
new things.
to have the mind for new things. Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, you switched into the coronavirus issue a little bit there. So let's talk about that. You're streaming from Germany. Where you are, how bad it is? How bad is
Yeah, I'm, as I told, of southwest of Germany. It's a 600 people village called Adersbach. It's 50 kilometers, let me say, from Heidelberg, and let me say 70 kilometers from the border to France.
Mhm.
Uh, and if you're living in a village, you have more space around, so you can go out. You can work in your garden, and of course, you are a little bit more free than other ones. I
Yeah.
will say the government of Germany had done good decisions. It's a shutdown period. We are only allowed to go out to visit the doctor, to buy food, or to go to your work. And the most important thing is to keep a distance. So in Germany, they say you should keep a 1.5 to 2 meter distance.
Mhm.
That will cover the most of the risk. Then, when you have disinfection things, do that. And from this Monday on, we should use masks when you go outside. That slowed down the infection rate very, very good. You know, in France or Italy, you have other a story and a real problem of the healthcare sector also in that countries. You know, the United States.
Mhm.
What was the situation there? Because President Trump reacted very, very slow, and that is a problem. So in Germany at the moment, it's under control. Yeah,
Yeah.
we also help France or Italy by taking care of some people. But yeah, our Minister of International Cooperation, and I agree with him, he announced that we should think more about developing countries in the next weeks or months, because also the United Nations calculated or estimated is a better word, that Corona could struggle or could come to up to 300,000 deaths people in Africa if it really goes on in Africa, because in developed countries you have less people in one building, and in Africa you have a lot of people in a very close area,
It
and you
depends,
haven't.
it depend on which part of Africa that they're talking about. See, Africa is a huge continent,
Yeah.
and most of the time, people, when they start talking about Africa, they speak about Africa as a country. So,
Yes, I
uh-huh.
thought, yeah.
Depends, from like example, I'm not trying to be defensive or anything, but from Nigeria, Nigeria is huge in land, not just
Mhm.
for the people in there. We have a lot of space. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I agree with you that because of the proximity of people, in close contact with each other, if this coronavirus breaks out, is going to affect a lot of people. But I know that Africans, we pray. And this is one thing that we truly hold on to, because we don't have the money like all the other first world. We don't have the system set up like the Western world. We don't have the people that are willing to help the less vulnerable people, like the Western world, prepare for their citizens. Yes, but projecting that this is going to rage Africa and shake Africa sort of gets to me. And I try to avoid, talking about it, even though it's pretty important what you're saying. But I think our people are doing the little that they can to protect people by teaching them how to take care for themselves. The only major problem that I see, and it's raging and, shaking Africa right now, is hunger,
Mm, yeah.
and lack of true information, lack of valid
Mhm.
information, because the media has. being so good in throwing around every and anything that is
Mhm.
out there. And these people that don't have access to real information, they just stumble into these videos that's going viral. Anything anybody say, they just do it. So for me, this
Mhm.
is why I started this program. Guys on Instagram, oh man, Mr. Brownie, God bless you. Thank you guys for watching. We are live on the Queen Amina Show on Facebook Live. If you want to see who is talking on the other side, please join us on Facebook Live. I don't know how to stream Instagram yet. So Instagram is my new ground I'm trying to break through. So yeah, pardon me if you're just hearing my seeing me, but hearing the other person's voice. But we are live on YouTube and Facebook. Share the video so that other people can enjoy what we're talking about. So yeah, back to what you are saying. Go ahead.
Yeah. About let us say fake news. You have fake news also in USA. President Trump that spoke some crazy things in Germany too, and especially in online media as Facebook, YouTube. Everybody can produce some stupid things. And to protect your own, yeah, that's the first step of healthcare safety, let me say. And what everybody can do is reduce social contacts. It's sometimes hard for grandparents to don't see the childs, especially also in our family, or the childs want to see the grandpa, the grandma, but you have to slow it down. And second, keep the distance 1.5 to 2 meters. And the third one is to use masks, and that masks don't have to be every time medicine quality masks. So you put a part of your clothes or stuff like that to protect the others. That is the first step of own protection and of protection of your colleagues or your contacts.
So everybody
Um,
is talking about this corona right now, right here. Are you guys thinking of after the coronavirus? What next? What happens? How do people prepare right now to be able to get into the new world that we are going to go into? You guys thinking about that? Because it's going to be a totally new world.
Yeah, let me say two things to that. In Germany, a lot of actors say, government, please open a new way after the corona crisis to power up and support clean,
Energy.
and not only energy, the clean part, the climate protection, because another unique point of the Naga is that we communicate in developed countries economical benefits of climate protection. As I told you, in my building, I earn money with my building. I don't spend money for oil, for coal, for wood, or stuff like that to heat it, or for the electricity. So that could be increase the economy after the corona crisis. If you put the right laws, the right support to that part, and that it comes from energy, it comes from healthcare section, mobility, so all sectors of the society could be affected. And the second part is, uh, think about, and especially governments or companies should think about how they want to go to the future. And especially, developing countries are mostly poor, struggling on buying resources like oil or wood or coal or stuff like that. And if they are listen to us this evening, or to
Yeah.
other actors, I say to my contacts, no benefit without investing.
Okay.
And that's the first step. When a government say we want to save money in the future, to spend the saved money not for oil, to spend it for medicine, for infrastructure, for income from the people and stuff like that. They first have to spend fundings to change, let me say, the energy support of healthcare stations and hospitals. And that can also save money, but also increase the quality of the work there. When you have a good planning period, you can deliver a better quality of light, of energy. They can use more medical parts and stuff like that in the future. And so some countries are on a good way. The leaders decide that we have a budget and we have to use the budget in another way as we did in the past.
Go ahead.
Okay, and that what we can also offer. The Naga Foundation as a non-profit company or non-profit organization. We have a worldwide network. We have contacts in to companies that are producing wind energy parts or solar parts. We have a wide network of planning partners, and we also, as I mentioned to you, try to get an understanding of our partners in, at the moment, Senegal, Nigeria, hopefully
Done any
Uganda.
project in Nigeria? Have you done any completed project in Nigeria?
Yeah, with our partners, as I told you, Water Safety Initiative Foundation and African Center of Environmental Rural Development, and our friend Unyim Robinson. We had done a small solar lamp program for citizens. You can find a very good video from him on YouTube, the Naga Foundation YouTube. There is a small video from a woman having some pig farm in the evening. They first go around with an old petroleum lamp. It's all dark, and not a good quality. And the daughter from her have to learn in the evening very bad quality of light. And then the second part of the video, they show how it works, how the light feel by solar LED combination, and it's unbelievable good how the light is, and the woman have not to buy petroleum anymore in the future.
It would be fantastic to have that across Nigeria, because one of the problems that we have all the time there is electricity, especially now that people are indoors, they're not allowed to go out. All we're asking is at least give us light, give the Nigerians light so that they can stay indoors. So a project like yours should be strongly marketed to get into the rural areas, especially. So if there's a one that is actually working, we can send some of our people to go look at it and see how it's operating, and then maybe get other people in touch with you.
It's just an example of private persons area.
Okay.
In Senegal, in the village of Ebarak, we had a electrified school in a rural village, and with the director, we also agreed that the adults can use the school in the evening for culture events or stuff like that, and the people from the village can charge some batteries as well. So when we doing projects, as I told you, we doing projects after having contact. Also, the president of the Department Council of Salamata had written us after the project a letter of thanks, and in the letter he had written that we was the first NGO who first come, speak, matched the needs and the technical opportunities, and then deliver the project. And that's the only way of a sustainable project. So when somebody call me or give me a mail, could you do XY, or could you do something for us? We want to have a power system. I have to tell them what kind of power system, how many citizens want you serve. You can also create cooperatives in Africa for energy, and everyone can give a little amount. Government can give an amount, and they will be trained how they can run a city or village energy system by their own, or
Oh,
by the support of the national energy network company. But you first have to understand or to know that the quantities of the citizens, the infrastructures there, and then there could be created a lot of benefits in the future.
fantastic. So just one few last question for you before I let you go is how difficult has it been for you to, do these projects in Africa? Is it challenging?
As I told, the first major problems are the funding
Okay.
and to start the first one or two steps.
Okay.
Because with my experience, with my knowledge, with a way of interaction, what we had by visiting each other, have a dialogue, speak to every part of the society there, not only to the governor, not only to the ministers or mayors, also to, imam or the priest or woman association, everyone, you can get a good feeling. And mostly of our work, we also testing partners there with small projects. After we have a success and a trustful partnership, we also, working with partners from the areas, from the countries. In Senegal, I want to greet my representative, Mahamadou Lamine Barrow. He is also a fighter for the environmental protection and for the people in Kedougou, working in the environmental ministry. We have a lot more friends in Senegal as well. Or if you heard from me, our friend Mr. Onim Robinson, we established 3 years, 4 years now of a very, very good cooperation, trustable cooperation. He had given me the opportunities to participate on the United Nations Climate Conference without any charges or fees or payments, and I'm now also had the honor to be on the advisory board of the center in Nigeria. And if we have more support or more funding, a lot of countries are waiting to do projects. Also Uganda, Nigeria, and Senegal. There are huge possibilities to do projects. And maybe outview of the next months is at the moment we very hopeful to get a German organization where support us in new projects, combination of climate protection, education, and sport. And of course, everyone can work with us, and we will, if somebody give us a finance for new projects, and we will make project signs for them. We will communicate that in our network. So we don't need the honor to say, okay, Senaga had done it or stuff like that. We also can say Senaga had realized new stuff on new projects
Mhm.
and financed by company XY or private person or stuff like that to give them the honor to be known as a good actors, and hopefully also governments. At the moment, governments all around the world are a little bit more complicated as when you work with private donators or with companies. It's much more easier. It's more faster. For example, last December, a private person called me asking me, do you do some reforesting? And I told him, combination project of reforesting, but also of support from cooperatives, farming cooperatives from women's, because just reforesting, when the people there need wood for fire and for light, the reforest will go after a couple of years. But if you combine that in a project where the people in the area have a benefit from, then the forest will grow years for years. And
Mhm.
I offered him a project what is already now going on, and it's a vegetable garden from disabled persons in the department of Salamata. So there we combined a new wheel solar system also with vegetable gardens and with banana, mango trees, baobab or moringa or other things. And mango, for example, mango is a good example for that. The mango tree give fruit. You can fruit drying by a solar dryer,
Wow.
and you can then use it for your own food, or you can the disabled association can sell it on the market and get
Yeah.
some incomes, and can do new projects after that project by their own.
That's a,
That is the point of sustainable, yeah. In Germany, we mostly have the problems, Germans think very straight.
yeah.
So when we think in a project, normally we think on a start time and then an end time.
And
Uh, Tenaga completely think on another way, because what is when the problems show up after the project ends? Then you will come to a solution. What I also see in developing countries, that there are good projects dying 2, 3, 4 years after the project
that's
ends.
there's no sustainability.
Yeah, because nobody thinks about helping the actors there when problems come up a few time after the project period, or it's easy on a paper to write what you have to do to bring a project to a sustainable finance, but
Mhm.
mostly the paper did not meet the reality very close. So we want to concentrate on different areas with quality long-time partnerships to all levels of the societies there. And my contacts, I tell them every time it could be it could need a longer time till we start, but then our projects will be
Love,
more sustainable and more
right.
benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, guys. You're on to the Queen Amina show on Facebook and YouTube Live. I just try to do my only two parts by contributing to this lockdown season by bringing information from real people that are experiencing real things in their different areas, and informations that can help us even after the COVID. I am not focused on COVID for the simple fact that I know that this COVID would not have power to break down the universe Earth because of my personal belief in the Word of God. So I am projecting ahead, and this is why I do what I do. There are a lot of critics out there that are saying, "Oh, you should be talking about COVID, COVID, COVID." Yeah, all we need to know about COVID-19, we already know. We know it's a pandemic. I mean, it's a virus that is killing people. We know we need to wash our hands. We need to keep social distances. We need to stay indoors. Go out only when you have to. Protect yourself and protect the other people around you. Uh, One thing that I try not to do is to focus on the negative of all of this. I'm talking to Mr. Kai Zimmerman all the way from Germany. He was at the Vigor Awards International 2018, one of our winners for humanitarian work. And we kept in touch once in a while. I follow what he does, his humanitarian work in the developing countries. And today he's here speaking with us about how his company can help developing countries with sustainable energy, in the areas of energy, healthcare, and so many other things that we have spoken about. So thanks to this lockdown season, we found new ways to communicate information to millions of people around the world. So nothing wrong with that. So every day we are on Facebook Live. Yes, it's a daily show, hard to put up, but we are on 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. GMT, and we're bringing information. Next week, we have so much stuff coming up. Actually, some this week. Believe it or not, I am bringing the son of Idi Amin of Uganda, the late ex-president of Uganda. His son Jaffa is going to be on our show. I would be announcing when he's coming on. And it will be quite interesting to see this guy, how humble he is compared to anything that has to do with his dad. So I'm bringing him on, and we would be bringing our special Oibo princess, the British girl that talks in Nigerian pidgin English. She's going to be here very soon. Tomorrow we have Amanda Lasman, all the way from, I think, Holland. Don't quote me on that, but I know she's somewhere in Europe. She's the CEO to Vocal Voices for Christ, and she does amazing humanitarian work in her community. So we're going to be bringing her to talk to us. Mr. Kat Zimmerman, thank you so much for your time today. Just one last thing before you leave us is, do you think the world is going to totally move into clean energy, or we're still going to be doing it the old-fashioned way?
It's a good but also a difficult question. I think it's an only way to go to a climate, environmental, and nature-friendly world, because we have no second Earth in the universe. So yeah, and with starting with Paris, governments starting to realize that, except, President Trump and the president of Brazil didn't understand it yet. The most dangerous at climate is that it's far, far away, and the people cannot really understand things what are very far away. So
Need more education to the public.
yeah, that was the reason why we want to combine climate protection, education, and real benefits. It have to go hand in hand, and yeah, that could be a dangerous for the next generations. Not for you, not for me, hopefully not for our childs, but then in the year 2100 or after, it could be a real
Way before then, because the world is moving really fast.
And President Obama once, in a speech, he told, we are the first generation who sees the
Global
climate change, but
Yeah,
we are also the last generation who can do something to avoid it.
about
And
it.
that's the most
That.
difficulty situation. And not everyone had understood that yet.
But you're doing your little
Yeah,
bit by coming on our show today to talk with
yeah,
us about it.
thank you.
I'm doing my little bit by
Yeah,
creating a platform to bring you. So I'm pretty sure, as everyone participate in bringing their little bit here and there, we would get the voice
yeah.
out and there would be
Mhm.
a change. Once again, thank you so,
Okay.
so very much for joining us today. You have a very wonderful time. And if anyone wants to contact Mr. Kai Zimmerman, his page on Facebook is Zeniga Foundation on Facebook. Just that simple. Zeniga spells Zenaga Foundation, and it's rolling on the bottom of the broadcast right now.
Yeah.
So contact him for more questions, and he would be willing to respond to you. Thank
And Quinn, thanks again for you, for all organization that session, also for organization the Vigo Award. And again, thank you also to your team from the amazing Vigo Awards in Canada.
thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of
Okay.
the day.
You too. Bye.
Bye. All right, technical stuff. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Join us tomorrow for Vocal for Christ. It's going to be a wonderful time singing and sharing and be happy and merry. Um, Friday is our, let me see what we have on Friday. No, today is what? Tuesday. Whoa, why am I going so far ahead? So please join us tomorrow, same time, 2 p.m. Until then, God bless you. Stay safe and stay home. Love you all.